You are listening to Hardhouse History with Paul Glazby.
Eamonn Fevah, welcome to Hardhouse History.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. I thought we'd lost connection for a second.
No.
So, obviously, we've known each other for 25 years now.
Yeah, about that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, well, I mean, just talk us. How did you end up being? Because obviously, like Fevah Records, and that was a thing when I was, learning to
Yep.
mix.
Yep.
So you were there before I was. So, like, how did you end up? I know, obviously, you're from New Zealand. You went
Yep.
over to the UK. So when was that?
1996. Let's make me feel old now. When you tell me that when you were learning to mix.
Yeah.
I did what most Aussies and Kiwis and South Africans do. You go on your OE.
Yeah.
I mean, I came out of the middle of the desert in Western Aussie. I started my leg of the OE in north of Perth in the middle of bloody nowhere. Because I'm a farmer's son originally, had my truck license made, and then I had an ex-girlfriend who said, I'm in London, do you want to come? And I had an Irish passport. So the
Right.
joys of, back then, Kiwis or Aussies, when they went to the UK, had to have a certain amount of money in their bank accounts to go over. Because I had an Irish passport, I didn't need anything. So I flew in, and everything back then, I think, because we were pretty much partying fairly regularly, everything happens really fast, over a short period of time. And I moved into this big Aussie Kiwi house with about 20 of us in there. And that's where I met Rickster, who was Fevah's first resident. And we were roommates. And we used to go clubbing on a Sunday in London to this. We started off at Sunnyside Up, but then we ended up going to this club called Sunflowers, which was at the aquarium up by Old Street. And it had a pool in it, the ultimate. If middle of summer, Aussies, Kiwis, you could go wearing boardies to a nightclub, but you could do honky bombs and then go and have a dance. And I met my future business partner randomly in the middle of the dance floor. Rickster introduced me to him, and he was the manager of the biggest Kiwi pub in Soho. And they had a nightclub underneath it. It was a pub called the Polar Bear, which became quite famous. And we used to go to the O Bar in Soho as an after party on Sunday, but that was like Soho and Sunday in the West End, mate, was pretty seedy back in the 90s. It was the after party at the O Bar was like the who's who was left over from the clubbing scene from pretty much multi-genre from all over. Yeah. So we'd go to this club called the Aquarium, which was a Sunday daytime club. And I mean, the ultimate, Aussies and Kiwis, you go clubbing on a Sunday, wear your board shorts, do a honky bomb, go and have a stomp on the dance floor. And I ended up meeting my future business partner, which is Wayne Hart. And Rickster introduced me to him. And he was the manager at the time of the Polar Bear, which was the biggest Kiwi pub in the centre of Soho. And it was a nightclub under it. And we obviously, we didn't really want to go home. So we were always looking for somewhere to go to an after party. And we said, well, let's go here. And that's pretty much where it started, because the after party venue we used to go to was the O Bar, and the O Bar was like the after party in London for pretty much who's who was still up at that time in London. And so there was some questionable characters about. So we just said, well, let's make it a membership only club. So you had to know someone to get in or be with a member. And after 3 months, we ended up having a line up the road, and we got offered an opportunity to go into a club called the Tube, which was right next to London Astoria up by Tottenham Court Road. And within 3 weeks, we'd open at 7 o'clock, and there'd be a line of a couple of hundred people up the road right through till 3 o'clock in the morning on a Monday. So it was pretty cool. And unbeknown to us, the guy who owned the Tube also owned London Astoria. One of the old families of London, so to speak. And he offered us an opportunity to use, you want to do a bank holiday Sunday? And we're like, yeah, okay, we'll have a ho. We'll have a go. Have a ho. Yeah. And next thing, we sold out London Astoria too. We did a Christmas party, and we get to the next bank holiday. And he said, do you want to use LA1? We're like, yeah, right. Which I don't know for anyone listeners or viewers don't know, Astoria is one of the original. It's where, you name it, U2 have played there, Kylie Minogue, the who's who of, it's like one of the original theatres, amphitheatres in London, like Brixton Academy, like Coco, or Camden Palace as it was when we were there. So it was a pretty epic venue. And then it steamrolled out of there. Then we met, you know, Kirk Field, don't you?
I know the
Do you remember
name.
Kirk Field? Kirk was the guy who's just written the epic clubbing books about this
Oh,
one,
yeah,
the
yeah,
last
yeah.
one. Yeah, Trains, Planes, and Amphetamines.
Yeah.
And yeah. And he was the clubbing editor and journalist for Time Out magazine and TNT magazine. And he said, do you want to do a Christmas party at the Ministry of Sound? We're like, why not? So we did that and we sold it out. And then through that, he had Sunday Central were expanding out of up north. And he said they want to do an opening at Heaven in London, and they're going to have Lisa Lashes, and I think it was John Fleming. Do you want to host it? We're like, yeah, okay. So we did that and sold it out, and then that's how we ended up starting Fahrenheit, because the club called the Sound Shaft, which still to this day is, in my opinion, one of the best clubs ever, was the back entrance of Heaven, a separate club completely, had a
Wow.
massive turbo sound system. And then we ended up getting off of that every Saturday night. So next thing we know, we've got Fevah running every Sunday at the Tube, Fahrenheit every Saturday night at the Sound Shaft. And then every bank holiday we would alternate between doing Fevah or a party we call Match Made in Heaven at Heaven. So it just kind of everything exploded from there. But it
Wow.
happened
And what
quite
sort of
fast. It was
lineups?
all so the main stage at Astoria would be everyone from Lab 4 to Yogi to I think Andy Farley. I'm pretty sure you came and visited us on a couple of occasions at one of those. You know, you name it, they played. We did a more commercial night on a Friday night at Heaven. We had Pete Heller, and a big mix of more the underground prog techno. And the main room was, you'd have everyone from Anne Savage to, Andy Farley again. He was a resident for us. So there
Right.
was, you name it, we did it. And then kind of post that, that's where the record label came from, because I became really good friends with Steve Blake.
Mm.
Um, and randomly we didn't get into a party one night, and we were stuck outside this event, and we ended up at his house and in his studio because we had nowhere else to go. And that's pretty much where the start of Fevah Records came from. It was
Right.
1998.
Yeah.
And it was purely by accident, Old Steve, he's a legend. And it was hard case, because when we were looking for DJs for Fahrenheit, we used to get sent tapes. And I had like bags of tapes. Every DJ known to Matt, would send you demo tapes. And I got this package in the mail, and it was Steve's, tune expressions and all that had gone huge.
Mm.
And, I didn't think much about what we were doing, to the size of what it was going to or whatever. And
Mm.
I remember opening this package and having a hard house mix from Steve Blake and a hard trance mix from Steve Blake. And I'm like, is this for real? And I remember calling him and asking him, would you be a resident? And he went, yeah, man. And that's where that kind of relationship was formed.
Right.
Um, and that's, the record. So he was the main engineer on Fevah Records for a lot of the boys doing the trance stuff.
Yep.
And then all of our distribution at the time was being done by Infectious Distribution, which, along with most of them, is all closed up now. But one of their in-house engineers we became friends with. He was a new guy in the scene that nobody knew, and turned out it was Dave Parkinson.
Ah.
So Mr. Prime Mover himself.
Yeah.
So Dave ended up doing all the engineering for us. So we put like Rickster into the studio with him, everyone like Steve Ryan, Grant Thompson. And then if we wanted to do the harder trance style of things, that was Steve Blake.
I remember I can't remember the name of the track, but there's a Steve Ryan track on
There's
Fevah.
Broken Boundaries or Cut the Jive or Total Supremacy. The Cut the Jive one was more hard house. And the other two were kind of more hard trancey style.
Is that all he did? I'm sure there was
Who, Dave Parkinson's ones or Steve Ryan?
no, Steve Ryan.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I
I'll
can't,
have to go
off the
back and have a
top.
look.
I think Broken Boundaries was probably one of the biggest ones, but actually all of those back then. I mean, it was when it was vinyl, and I
Yeah.
think that was the joys of the music industry back then, when you could actually make money out of doing music
Mm,
rather than
yeah.
everything going digital.
Yeah, that definitely fucked everything up. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, yes and no, but
yeah,
yeah, at the time it was
yeah,
pretty shit. Um,
yeah,
so yeah, so I mean, much like Vicious Circle, your label kind of started by accident.
yeah. Oh, well, that was it, man. I mean, we'd had the clubs running, and the boys were all talking about the next step in the whole evolution of doing what we were doing, because we realized, should we better take it seriously? We've got something good here.
Mm,
Because we ended up doing Fever tours, and that I think the biggest, we did 50, I think it was Fever in 15 countries, and most of that came off the back of the record label, because obviously the music, that was the next evolution in it. Because if you didn't make music, back then it was all about how good the DJ was and the journey you took them on. But
mm,
because there was it makes it sound old, there was no internet then, right?
yeah.
It was all about the music, HMVs, tracks on racks, you know what I mean?
Mm,
Vinyl, the DJs going in and buying. I did all the record distribution for most of trance and hard dance and all that to New Zealand for about 5 years. So, that was the only connection that everyone had to find out what was going on around the world, was producing music. So
that's right. Well,
that was,
I remember being in Insomniacs, finishing a set, and because when I played at Insomniacs, a lot of people would leave.
yeah,
But then Tom would have a line of people that would come because they knew they could get in once Glazby came on,
yeah,
because 200 people
yeah,
had leave, so 200 more people had come in.
yeah,
And but I remember finishing the set and just thinking, I've got to start making music, because I could play the best set anyone's ever played, but it's this 1,000 people that are going to see it, and that's it.
yeah,
And I knew that, like you've just said, to start, pushing yourself beyond those people that are seeing you every week, you've got to start
yeah,
doing something else to make a name for yourself. And that's why, I started doing tracks, and then I did my first international in that first year, but by the next year I was traveling
yeah,
to Australia, and then I remember getting to Adelaide and just racks of, like my stuff. I'm like,
yeah.
this is fucking nuts.
Oh, dude, I
It's such
remember.
a,
I remember walking through Heathrow Airport with my wife, leaving the country to go on a tour somewhere. And there's all the Nucleus Big Room DJs EPs who went, "Oh, I'm in that rack," and
Mm,
you're in the middle of Heathrow Airport. It was pretty cool.
yeah,
But it was, the record was the postcard to send around the world, because you didn't have YouTube, you didn't have what we're doing here, you didn't have
yeah,
any other way for people to connect or hear your mixes unless they were at the club and they heard you. And then
yeah,
you would have certain promoters that would obviously do mix CDs and tapes and things like that. But the only other way was to get everyone would go in that vinyl shopping, and that, mean, hey, how much fun was going to your regular weekly vinyl shop with your mates, have a couple of beers,
mm,
do the regular, and you would find all these different artists from around the world, and that's how we connected with them and found out who they were.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
And it was
Right.
phone numbers and not email addresses.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, the original. Yeah, the
Yeah,
original. If you look at Kick It, it's my old UK mobile number that's
yeah, yeah,
on the thing. Yeah,
yeah. That was where you didn't email someone because no one had email.
yeah.
Yeah. No, no, it was, so in some aspects, man. I mean, today's good. It makes it all accessible, but I think it made it a little bit more special when it was like that,
Well, I was
so
talking
to
to someone
speak.
about this the other week, where like if you got like a Turner V tape, and then
Yeah.
you'd be trying to hunt down the tracks that you could hear it. Now you just Shazam it, and then
Oh,
with a
exactly.
beatport, and like literally
Yeah.
within 5 minutes you can have anything that you hear, pretty much.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that does take the
A
edge
little bit
off
of
it
the
a
fun
little bit.
away. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But then, being able to have everything you want in 5 minutes, that's not too bad either.
Oh, that's what we want. It's that information, that hunt for information these days. We thrive to be able to get anything we need at the drop of a hat. Things like
Mm.
ChatGPT have made things quite scary. But
Yeah, well, Matt just put his first album out last week. He's a new what do you call it? He's a lyrical poet, but then he's got
oh
these
really?
what's that thing called? Suno. You should hear
Oh
these
yeah, yeah,
fucking
yeah. I
mate. I
know I've
am
used Suno before. It's quite amazing, but you can tell when it is Suno. Like I've heard trance tracks that they've used the Suno vocals, and they're all
okay.
they all sound the same.
Well, Matt, he writes for his podcast. It's all about
Yeah,
movies, and they write a song for
right,
every. So he's basically took the lyrics from these songs and put them into this Suno. I'm
right.
not joking. If you were, it's not dance music or anything like that. It's like
No,
some of them are. You'd think if you didn't listen to the words, which are quite,
yeah,
what would you say, ridiculous.
yeah, yeah,
If
yeah,
you didn't listen specifically to the lyrics, you'd think
yeah.
it was like a white snake or some. You just.
I
It's fucking
yeah.
unbelievable.
I
They wrote a
got
song
one of the
about me the other
guys.
week.
I got one of the guys. We had a test to see what it could do the other day, and I got it to write. I wrote something and asked it to sound like Ozzy Osbourne. And next thing, oh holy shit! You know, you can pretty much tell it to do it. That's a little bit scary when they're doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sweet.
So let's go back to you because I remember
Yep.
when we've spoken before, you ended up doing taking Fever
Yep.
over. You were doing some like boat parties or something.
Oh, yeah, the famous boat party. So that was with Kirkfield as well. So us and Frantic. So Kirkfield that got us into the into ministry and places like that. He said, I've got hold of this boat that goes from Harwich in the UK to Hamburg. Would you be up for doing a boat party? I'm like, yeah, okay, that sounds hard case. What's the plan? He goes, 3 days, man. We'll take everyone into the Reeperbahn. I don't know if you know what the Reeperbahn is, the biggest red light district in the world.
Right.
And we put 1,000 clubbers on this boat,
Yeah.
and it had two nightclubs, a casino, two restaurants, and a swimming pool deck, and cabins and everything like that. And it was 3 days, 2.5 days, 1.5 days there, 1.5 days back. And the bizarre thing is, you forget that you got to take your passport to go clubbing. So you can
Mm.
imagine people. It was mate. There was carnage on the high seas. Um, it was on some of those boats. They would have some of the truck drivers that were doing the channel stuff, like they were taking all kinds of whatever on their trucks over to Germany.
Mm.
And the captain of the boat said, you're going to have a few randoms on the boat. You're going to have some random hens parties and whatnot. We're like, yeah, just invite them in. So we used to invite these random truckers. We'd have 1,000 clubbers partying their heads off, and then we'd invite these random ladies who were on not stag do's, hens do's. It was a bizarre mix, and then we'd all get across to Hamburg, and we'd have to get off, and it was an eye opener because you go into the red light district, and I mean anyone who's been to Amsterdam, picture the red light district of Amsterdam, but they've got buildings that are 4 to 5 stories high, exactly like that. And then somehow Kirk would find the only Irish pub. Of course, there's an Irish pub somewhere, everywhere in the world, and we'd do an after party in Hamburg with these 1,000. Everyone's fairly high. Um, in the middle of Germany, mate, and the locals would go, "What the fuck are you lot up to?" Because the walk off the boat was like this big, I don't know, promenade, big grass strip, median strip down the middle, and the sun was out. And
Yeah.
we go into Hamburg and we go to this Irish pub, and we'd all carry on like you do, and then we go, we have to be back on the boat by 3 o'clock. Oh, everyone would get off the boat, so we'd get into into Hamburg, and the locals didn't know what hit them because there's 1,000 Aussies and Kiwis and South Africans and bombs and everybody, all fairly toasted, mate, wandering off up this entrance to the it's Scandinavian Fleetways, their main docking area in Hamburg, and we'd end up in the only Irish pub. Like, there's
Yeah.
always an Irish pub wherever you go, and we'd end up with doing an after party or a party. I don't think it was an after party because we were still going on. Um, and and people would go for a wander off into the red light district and have a look at it. I mean, it's a bit of an eye opener, that place, because I mean, if anyone's been to Amsterdam, it's like they've built buildings that are 4 floors high, the same as the main centre of the red light district. And so we'd all go in there, and then we go back to the boat, and we randomly, on this occasion, we got meted in stern words from the German drug squad, and thought nothing of it. And then the next year we did another party, and the German drug squad were there again, but they were meeting everyone as we got off the boat, and they had their chocolate lab drug dogs, and we're all like, fucking hell, what's going on here? And everyone, you forget that you're on international waters. You're going into another country. You thought you're just going on a little clubbing trip, mate. In the north of England or something like that. But no, you've actually gone to Germany when you get off the boat. And there were stories about the people who hadn't got off the boat had been in their rooms, and they were supposed to get off. But I remember Owen B, one of my DJs, he came to with a chocolate lab on his bed licking his face. And I think that was the only thing that saved him, because it put the drug squad off, and they had to fairly quickly leave the room, because it turns out they weren't legally allowed on the boat because it was classed as open waters. So it was an interesting, yeah. But no, we had some fun times there, man. You on those boat cruises, you'd go from, you could go to a casino, right? That was only 50 meters away from the dance floor. You'd have the cabins on the boats were awesome. It was like only 50 feet away from where the dance floor was. We could go for a swim in the pool deck. Off the back of the pool deck, you could tee off golf balls into the North Sea. Yeah, I don't know if you'd be allowed to do it anymore. I think there'd be too many health and safety issues with people falling over the side.
Yeah.
There's always one. Luckily we never had one, but yeah. I mean, we used to do these little river cruises up and down the Thames back in the day. But I think back in '97 we used to do them. It was quite a common thing. And I remember we'd always go all the way out to the floodgates, the Thames floodgates, and come back. And you'd always have one random. There's always one that'll go out onto the deck and, dude, mate, please don't go out there. Someone's going to fall off, and if you fell off into the water out in the floodgates, you're toast. So, but luckily that never happened.
And you used to do Ibiza as well?
Yeah, well, that's where we did with Kirk again, man. He was the ultimate bloody dude at organising overseas weird trips. We would take, with Frantic, we would take 500 Aussies and Kiwis and whoever wanted to come over to San Antonio, and we'd have some awesome trips there, man. I remember I got to play at Bora Bora 4 years in a row or 3 years in a row. You do 4-hour sets, man. You'd have MTV doing space opera races. You'd have live saxophonists, and we'd get to play at Eden, East Paradise, all these cool spots. We would, everyone got put up in these villas in San Antonio, and you'd go off, and that was when Manumission was still open. We'd take 500 of us into there. The beach parties at Bora Bora were pretty special, though. Daytime. Did you ever do Bora Bora?
No.
In Ibiza? You didn't? So DJ G, who was a bit of a legend. So the Bora Bora is the beach club that was like at the end of the runway around near where Space was, I think it was. And it was too pure clubbing hedonism. I was playing house back then. I mean, I played hard at all the Fevah parties, but I'd got right into house and techno, the early styles of techno. And you'd take a full record bag, and there'd be one really good looking Spanish girl, man. And I remember one year that this lady was wearing a fishnet dress. She was dancing on a table, and as long as she was dancing, the entire place was going off. And you go for 4 hours, you'd have producers coming in handing vinyl out, that wanted to see if you'd play it. You'd have saxophonists coming in. Can we play live with you? And I'm like, hell yeah. We had one year where I had the piss taken out of me, and the girls and Kirk and that had me convinced that it was a bank holiday, and it was some holiday for a patron saint, which apparently was a transvestite patron saint, which might not sound that odd these days, but back then I probably should have thought about it. And all the bar staff on the island were apparently had to go dressed in drag. So I'm like, yeah, fuck, I'll get amongst it. So the girls dressed me up in a Brazilian bikini, a nice sarong, and a Cleopatra wig, and I rolled into the DJ box at Bora Bora. Next thing, the bar staff all looked at me like, "The fuck are you wearing, dude?" And I'm like, "Fuck you, pricks, you've had me." So I'm like, nah, I'm going to stay. And I stayed in full theme for the 4 hour set that I had to play. And it was hilarious, man, because every time someone new walked in, it was like double take. The fuck's this dude up to? So, but in the end, mate, and it was one of the funniest times. I think that's made it into
Right.
Kirk's book, actually, because it was a bit of a highlight of the journey, mate. Yeah, but that was, just stories like that. I feel pretty blessed to have been out, from being involved in that industry from back then when it was a time of exploration and having fun. There was a little bit of political shit, man, but it was more about fun and music and friends and everything like that. And it was pretty cool that we got to go and do those things all
Yeah.
over the world. It was pretty
Yeah.
special.
Yeah. And what's Wayne doing these days?
Oh, Wayne's got a quiet life, mate. He lives about 4 hours away from me. So I'm in Wellington in New Zealand. He lives up in Napier, Hastings. He's very different. He's got a couple of businesses that he runs and manages some houses and just general normal work. They do a lot of traveling, him and his partner. We see him every now and then. We probably catch up once a year. We still talk fairly regularly. I think the cool thing from those times is all of us that made friends through that entire period. Like yourself, man. Every time you catch up, it was only like you saw each other a couple of
Yeah.
weeks ago. So, you pretty much click off. So, so we've all kind of moved on and grown up. He didn't have any kids. I've three little cherubs. They're not that small anymore. I've got a 20-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 16-year-old. But they've been good. As you know, I've kind of kicked things back in the pants with music again. I kind of stepped back a while when we came home because I left the UK. I'd been there for 10 years. Kind of did everything I wanted to do, and Wayne wanted to leave, and I didn't really want to do everything without. He was like my right arm, and he said, I need to go home." So he kind of left, and we scaled back. We actually started a different brand back then. We started this brand called DFS with some good friends. That was House and Techno, and we ended up doing that all over Eastern Europe and whatnot. But then the bombs went off. My wife was 8 months pregnant with my son Reuben, and I was next to Edgware Road Station when it blew up, or when it was the tube bomb, and it took me about 2 hours to do a 15-minute drive. And I walked in the door and went, "I think we're done. I think it's time." So that's kind of the only reason we came home. We had a sweet, I loved it over there, but I just think I wanted my kids to be brought up in New Zealand. So we came home. I stepped back away. I mean, I still kept my finger. We still had fever parties, just
Yep.
maybe 2 or 3 a year. And then Janelle as you know, from London Hardhouse, she reached out and said, "I want to recreate what we had in London." She loved it. She was one of the epitome of clubbing girl, man. She'd go to Solid Sunday and Fever and everything like that, specifically Solid Sunday. And she came home and she missed it so much. She had a proposition. I sat with her and I thought she was mad. She said, "I've already borrowed the money." I went, "Oh shit." Okay. So at the time I had three kids under four. So I'm like, I can't physically do everything you want me to do. And that's why I introduced her to Steve Hill. And that's how that whole little connection with that. And then year after year, she's just kept going. I'm quite stoked to be part of it. It's a bit of a juggernaut when it comes to hard
Yeah.
dance and keeping that alive
Yeah.
at this end of the world. And now, like this year, as you met my
Yeah.
son,
Yeah.
he got to come. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The next generation are
Yeah.
starting to
No, it's
infiltrate
good.
us.
It's real good. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting because I met a kid. I don't know if you've seen him, DJ Pulsar. He's like 13. This kid. Do you know? Have you seen it?
Mm-hmm.
He's
Yeah, I
fucking
have seen him.
incredible.
Yep.
But he's been DJing
I
since he
have
was
seen
two
him.
and a half, apparently.
Yeah.
So like he's
Yeah.
it's
That's
insane.
awesome.
But so, like you've got this younger generation that I'm guessing kind of early 20s to 30 that are into these, because it seems to be these two.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there's two hard scenes. There's the new one, which is short tracks, minimal sort of
Yeah.
breakdowns, and then there's our stuff, which is
Yeah.
obviously longer, bigger
Yeah.
build-ups and all that. But there's still 145 to 160 BPM,
Yeah.
and but
Yeah.
even younger people like Ruben or Jay this Pulsar, because they've been influenced by the
Yeah.
parents, which were into the original Hardhouse. It's almost like there's a younger crowd coming through that are into what we did.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see what happens because I was thinking about this morning.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, they've got that little bit of a crossover.
yeah, and what will happen there? You know, like, yeah, but like when you think about Hardhouse, like Trade started, I think, around 92, 93. I got into it around 97. You'd already been doing it for a couple of years by then. You know, I got my big break in 2000.
Yeah.
And then there was that massive surge in 2000 to kind of 2002, 2003. So when you think about it, that's a 10-year evolution.
Yeah.
From not inception, because obviously
transition.
it started before that.
Totally.
But when Hardhouse was kind of, being labeled as Hardhouse, you would say that's a 10-year thing. And when I was talking to BK, he was saying that the hard sound's been back for a couple of years, which means we've got another 8 years for that to potentially to keep going before it cycles again,
Evolve again.
It is quite exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's already, I was going doom scrolling the other day, as you do. And it was one of these snippets from some young, reviving the old sound. And it was a track that sounded almost exactly like BK, Hoovers and Horns, right? And I just had to comment. I said, it hasn't gone anywhere. Tracks like that or that sound is timeless, man. It's just, it won't go away. It's just like when Ruben first started mixing, him and his mates were starting, in New Zealand, they all get really, the first thing they get into is drum and bass, right? It's that high energy. I mean, it's the one sound that I like it. I just don't like mixing it, right? But I get it. But it's their first introduction to music. Then he started to get into house, and then play Hardhouse and trance and everything like that. And he turned up one night and he said, "Dad, listen to this new."
So yeah, we were just saying that it'll be interesting to see what happens. No. I was saying about my fan base was always like
your fan base,
90% guys, because you're right. The girls, there are obviously some girls that love that stuff, but predominantly. But it's interesting because I've been. I've got pretty much the whole Tripoli tracks back catalogue on a USB stick, and I've been had it in my car, and it's probably nearly a week now that I've been listening as I've been driving around, and I've not got through it all yet.
Really?
But yeah, it's amazing. Some of that old, like I can remember the tracks coming out, but then things move on, and I'm wanting to get back to playing some of that stuff. The stuff that
it's
Steve
a bit
Thomas
lighter.
would have played.
Yeah. Bouncier, little punch. Yeah, exactly. It seems to be that's where when I go out and listen to what the kids when they came to London Hardhouse this year, and I think we'll get a lot more of them next year. They liked hard, but a whole night of it. That's what I think. What I said to you earlier with their concerts that their DJ gigs that they go to, they're only 4 hours long, whereas. So they pack it all into that small period. Whereas, Bruce was saying to me, it was a bit full on for me for more than 2 or 3 hours of that style, but that's just because they haven't been used to it. Whereas upstairs in the Fevah room, we kind of go into the little that older style of Hardhouse, the chunkier, funkier. Whereas some of the later kind of 5-year-old tool room sound, they went that way. That it was almost Hardhouse, but it was quite techno-y, and they quite like that. So it's an interesting evolution that's going on. It's quite exciting. It's quite cool to finally be getting back into it. Like I'm starting to make more music now than I ever have, which is cool.
Well, I certainly have. This last 12 months, it's been it's been nuts. Like, but I'll tell you, it was interesting when we did the Insomniac's birthday, 26th birthday in November, and that was the DJs that were on. Like, I looked at the lineup, I'm like, this is not really like a proper Insomniac's lineup, but it worked so well because you'd got Leonie, who's Tom's daughter. She was on first, then Maria Healy, then Scott Bond, then Mario Pugh, I think. Sorry, not Mario Pugh, Mario Picotto.
Picotto, yep.
Then Judge Jules, then Lisa Lashes, and then me. And what Lisa plays is very different to what I play, even though it's,
Yeah.
fairly similar. I think she finished about 149, and then I picked it up from there and did that last 90
Yeah.
minutes. But yeah, it was just
Yeah.
like none of those DJs would have had the same tracks, even on the USB, let alone worried about playing
No.
someone else. Like it works really well. So maybe that is something that will happen a bit more. That there's more genres in the night
Multi-genre.
rather than it just being hard house all night, and then everyone's playing kind of the same thing, just going from 146 to 156.
You're probably right.
I
It's
don't.
probably the Fever Room at London Hardhouse, because that we started house, and then you go house, you get a progressive DJ, then you'll get progressive and techno, and then like this year we had Jody Six playing his style of techno, and then you had Craig Jones playing his trance, and then it went hard at
Yep.
the end. So you're right, every set was completely different. So you didn't have people playing remixes of remixes of remixes.
Yeah,
So you're
yeah.
right. Yeah, definitely.
Interesting. But yeah, I know when I was over in New Zealand, I was talking to high dosage guys, and
Yep.
they were saying about how difficult it is being in the hard house scene, or I guess any scene, but being in New Zealand because you're so far away. And it's
Yep.
like now, even being in Australia, like I've had this, comeback, but there's only so much I can do because I'm in Australia. Like I'm getting offers from things in the UK. I can't go back to England more than once, maybe twice a year if I'm, pushing it. So yeah, you are kind of restricted a bit.
I mean, I hear you on that, because I still get asked to go and play in the States, other things. People keep asking me, because I've not been back to the UK for 20 years. And I
Right.
think there is a trip planned next year, but everyone keeps saying to me, "Oh, can we do this? Can we do that?" And I'd recently had a couple of bookings in the US. I just can't, life's kind of got in the way with that side of it. But
Yeah.
there is more and more opportunities between Aussie and New Zealand. But you're right. And I think it's joys of having other commitments at the same time. Like I said, I think I've spent the last 18 years running a company. I've managed to sell it. And with the view this year is to go off and do a little bit more of that. But will it mean that I get to go overseas? It's a long way to go over there for one or two gigs.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I think that's why making the music kind of helps, and doing a little bit of stuff online, but it's not the same, is it?
No. But your new thing, is it Sugar Punk?
Yeah, so that was a little Manic, who you'll probably know. He's probably I met Andrew. He's, in my opinion, one of the best hard ass producers I've heard, and especially from New Zealand. I released his first album on Fever 20 years ago when I came back from London.
Right.
Quarantine. I mean, it's all on Beatport. If anyone wants to go and have a look at it. And we'd been trying to get together, but life got in the way for about 2 or 3 years. And then we eventually reconnected, and we started. What do you want to? Let's make. I don't want to make hard stuff. I want to make some techno or some prog. And both of us are a little bit ADHD by nature, man. So we go into a studio with no plan, or we have a plan, and then it goes out the window. And that's hence why it's just add sugar, mate. One of us will have a cup of tea with sugar, and it's like, oh, let's do this. Well, you'll hear something new, and we might have planned to do tech house, so we end up making something completely different. So we've just gone with it, and it's been quite a cool. We've done, I think, this year we released about 10 tracks. And there's everything from progressive to tech house to, you've had like Lizzie Curious, who does a lot of stuff with Fatboy Slim. She signed a couple on her label, and then over the last couple of years we've had stuff like, I wasn't with Andrew, was with Craig, Lost Knowledge onto Perfecto. But I also, in the last 6 to 8 months, sending a lot of tracks out to different labels. It takes so long to come back to you, so I just went, fuck it. I've still got Fever Records. Now, I mean, everything evolves over time, so we've just started releasing it all on Fever again.
Right.
It was all set up across all, the different aggregators that you use these days to get out to, whereas it's Spotify and Beatport and TrackSource and everywhere. So I already had it set up. So I just said to Andrew, let's just release it, shoot from the hip. So each track is a mixture of, we've got some hybrid. The last track we did, which is quite cool, Amber D picked up on it. She put it on her demo drop. It's this track called Atlas, and it's a bastardized hybrid of Hardhouse and Tech House, and you'd probably like it. It's a bit slow, might be a bit slow for you. It's 135, but we get a lot of people like Dom Dollar and whatnot who are making that harder edged house, and everyone. I was going and buying music in the Tech House genre on Beatport, and they're all doing that big offbeat bassline stab stuff, but it would all sounded the same. So I thought, well, let's do a bit of experimenting. So we don't really follow a specific idea. We just make what we think sounds cool, and it seems to be getting traction.
Okay.
It's a bit of fun, man. I don't take myself too seriously these days. It's music was made to be in the eye of the beholder. It's pretty subjective. What you
Yeah.
might hate, someone else might love, and it's what it's all about. So we've got housey stuff that's coming out. That all, yeah, no, it's been a bit of fun. So that's watch this space. We've been learning a lot. I mean, you're never too old to learn. We connected with these. The joy of the internet, I will say, digital is a lot of these big producers and engineers across the world are actually really generous with their time. And recently, we connected with a guy called Matt Asteroid. Now, I don't know. You might not know who he is. He's fast becoming one of the best trance producers in the world. But he's a
Yeah.
Welsh guy. He's a Welsh guy that lives in Amsterdam.
Right.
And he's playing Luminosity everywhere like that. And he did a release on Fever about 2 years ago. He's someone else, but he does tuition sessions.
Mm.
And we've we've got like a 10-hour tuition session with him. I tell you what, it's incredible. These guys that have learnt, like he's a specialist in Ableton Live, man.
Mm.
And Andrew's really good at using Ableton, but this dude is another level, mate. So it's showing these tools that they could use for sound engineering, right, and different ways of creating instrument racks and doing. It's really cool to still be this age, man, and then just go in and have people that offer their time. Yeah, you pay a little bit for it, but
Mm.
they just if you ask, people will teach you. So we're
Yeah.
doing some cool stuff with him on the trance side of it, just understanding certain things. And then there's a big Kiwi DJ who's gone huge, and he's based in Berlin. Guy called Dilby. If you're into deep house, he's doing the same thing. So we're doing a little bit of some lessons on tech house and techno and things like that and deep house. So there's a little bit of because we're into all kinds. We thought, well, let's go to the specialists in it and learn a little few tricks.
Nice.
So that's all coming up, and I've had the opportunity to work with some pretty cool New Zealand artists. There's an incredible vocalist. She's a Maori vocalist called Huia. They got asked to do a remix for an album for her, and we've just been asked to do another one. It's just a completely different kind of project
Yeah.
for New Zealand based, and that's been fun. So just playing around, doing different things, and then I think we might do a little bit more hard stuff. You never know, sometime in the year.
Interesting. Well, mate,
Yeah.
it's good that 30 years on, you're still giving it a good kick. And the fact that you got into this whole thing by accident in the beginning.
Yeah. Mate, we hey, dude, as the old song goes, mate, we never lost our hardcore.
That's right. Well, mate, I think that's probably a good way to finish up. But I'll look forward to seeing you I think I'm coming to New Zealand in fact, let's just say I am coming to New Zealand in September, and then Janelle's got to put me on the lineup.
Sweet.
That's it. It's official now. Yeah, I'll.
Are you going to pop in? Are you going to pop into Rewind?
When's that?
That's in April in Brisbane.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, it's only 45 minutes. Why are you over for that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well. Yeah. I'll do that.
We'll have a chat. Sweet.
Yeah. I'll see you then. Thanks for your time, mate. Fantastic.
All right, bro. Nice one, man.
Right,
Thanks for having me.
I'll see you soon. Cheers mate.
Bye-bye.
Take care, Paul.
You were listening to Hardhouse History with Paul Glazby.